guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. We're back here at Loki Kia in Clearwater, Florida, and guess what? I have a compact sport performance car that actually has some uniqueness to it compared to the competition. It's this vehicle right here. This is it. This is a 2023 Kia Forte GT. But before we get into this compact car that has two different options to it, let me talk about what's going on here. The Forte, it's been around since 2010, if you could believe that. It actually went on sale outside of the United States 2 years earlier, but made its debut in North America in 2010. It replaced the Kia Spectra. That's a little bit of a history lesson from me to you. Fast forward to 2023, and when you're looking for a compact car that's got a little bit of extra pep, there's actually some choices there. You could look at a Volkswagen GTI, you could look at a Honda Civic Si, or there's actually two that you could look at from South Korea, the Hyundai Elantra N-Line and this Kia Forte GT. Now what's interesting, comparing it specifically to one of its main rivals, the Civic Si, this vehicle brings something that the Si does not. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a few seconds, but what I want to find out is if you're looking for a new compact car that's got some extra spunk to it and you're looking at the Civic Si, is this the better one to buy? Let's go ahead, let's dive into our Forte GT and find out. Right off the bat, the style. There hasn't been any major changes over the past couple years, just a refresh, and that continues. At the front of the business, you can see how Kia has taken their headlight design from their other models, the bigger versions of their sedans and their SUVs, to give you that triple LED beam on your turn signals. You have LED headlights and your daytime running lamps, and I like the way that they kind of blacked out everything on the interior. Some nice flat silver, just to give it a little bit of pop. I'm so glad that they did not go gloss black. As we come into this lower corner, one thing you'll notice is you get a little bit of red trim, you get some LED lighting on the fog lamps, and you get functional air curtains, corner air curtains that help channel that air. Nice to see the functionality piece. And this is another area that on the Civic Si here in the United States, there's no longer availability of LED fog lamps. Now, as we come across the front grille, you can clearly see when they did the refresh, they really emphasized the tiger nose grille shape. You have these little small red accents that balance nicely with the boomerang shaped ones by the fog lamps. And then you are going to get functionality on the lower portion of the grille and just a little bit of gloss black. They really kept the gloss black to a minimum. Now, if you're comparing this to the Civic Si, the new Si, the 11th gen, has all flat black. So let me know in the comment section, do you like a little gloss black? Do you like the flat black? Let me know how you feel. Let me know how you feel too about the red accents. Now when we get up onto the hood, you'll notice the, of course, updated Kia badge, nice and flush to the front fascia. And then the hood is gonna be exactly the same. You get a simple rise, and then it just evaporates as you go towards the windshield. Now, as you come around the bend, wheel and tire, what are we working with? You're gonna get this upgraded, up-styled wheel. So it's an 18-inch wheel, machine aluminum, metallic gray finish. You got a little bit more of that red trim, the Kia badge. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this wheel? The tire is 225 on the width, 40 series sidewall. And just like the Civic Si, you're getting an 18-inch wheel. This is front-wheel drive. The big major difference is gonna be no limited slip diff. So on the Civic Si, it comes standard to have a limited slip diff for that performance-oriented driving style. This does not have a limited slip diff. But we'll get more into the goodies underneath the hood because there are some surprises that this Forte GT brings. But I'm digging the style of the wheel, especially with the particular color, this metallic red that we have. Now, as we come down the side, you're gonna get gloss black on the mirror caps, those really tiny LED turn signals, no sunroof. Now, you could go GT2 and get a sunroof. This is your standard Kia Forte GT, so no sunroof on the Civic Si. Remember, that comes standard with a sunroof. Down below, I do like the way they work the lower rocker panel, especially with the bit of gloss black that kind of dips down. And you'll notice as we come towards the rear wheel and tire, you get a little bit of a tiny kick up as it flows into the rear fender. Flat black around the window trim and color matched on the door handles. Now, working our way back, you got a gloss black shark fin antenna. And then you'll notice when we get to the trunk area, just like the Civic Si, this is an actual sedan. It's not, can't get it as a hatchback, a GT, or anything like that. You do have your gloss black trunk lid spoiler. It's almost about the same dimensions as the Civic Si. And then you're getting full LED lighting. So not only headlights, not only tail lights, your turn signals, which I am gonna zonk, because I don't like it when they're low in the bumper like this. I wish they would have just kind of cleaned this up and kept it integrated into the back. They did a good job though with the reverse lights. So LED reverse lights, it's just the turn signals. I'm not a big fan when they're in the lower bumper. Of course, you have your Kia badge. I know Steven is not a big fan of when they have the red taillight housing all the way across. So let me know if you're gonna be like Steven and zonk this. To me, it doesn't bother me as much. Steven, he sometimes doesn't sleep at night because of this one piece. You do have your flat silver Forte badge, just like the trim up front, and of course the GT badge, which they do a good job on that. And then dropping it down to ground level, you do get dual exhausts, functional exhausts on both sides. Now they are a vacuum cleaner style, but you know what? They fit the lower bumper area pretty clean, stainless steel, and I'm digging how they did the rear simulated diffuser here. It definitely looks something like off of a race car. But we talked about the outside, let's get underneath the hood and talk about performance and power of the Forte GT. Guys, we got the hood popped. You do have a prop rod, but both the Civic Si and this vehicle both have prop rods. They do a good way of getting it out of the way. They do a great job getting it out of the way. You do have a pretty clean engine cover, and I like the way you could see the inner bits, the alternator, the ABS unit, things like that. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, what about performance? What about power? So you're looking at a 1.6 liter turbocharged inline four that puts out 201 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. Now, if you compare that to the Civic Si has a 1.5 liter turbocharged inline four that puts out 200 horsepower. Now, you can get this car with a 6-speed manual or a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. So all those that have been crying that there's no automatic for the Type R, the SI, the Integra Type S, you can get your 7-speed dual clutch transmission, 0 to 60 in about 6.3 seconds. The vehicle weighs a little over 3,100 pounds. MPGs 27 in the city, 35 on the highway. So like I said, the big surprise is you get some options. You get some choices. Manual, which is the way I would do it, or 7-speed DCT. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire this up and hear if it makes any sound. All right, guys, we're inside this 2023 Kia Forte GT. It's one of those vehicles that, say what you may about the horsepower or the style, when it comes to price point, they're pretty good with this setup. Now, MSRP, the way that this one is optioned, is coming in right at $25,000. So think about what you could buy that has any kind of performance orientation in today's market. Brand new for 25 grand. I promise you, I'm not gonna hold my breath because I would die here on Rady's Rides. But let's see how it stacks up to the mighty Honda Civic Si, because the Si is around $27,000, $28,000, still a lot of value. But are you doing better if you go the Forte GT? To the door panels. I do like the nice clean style. They have some gloss black, but the great news is it's got this cool like texturized gray pattern to it, which kind of just makes it more than just gloss black. You have some white contrast stitching, red contrast stitching, no gloss black around the switchgear, Door pocket is a little tight, so you're gonna have to just keep it to maybe 5 Pop-Tarts and a bottle of Yoo-Hoo to wash it down. Going from the door panel to the dash, I do like the way the dash is very far forward. You have some of that same silver trim from outside brought to the interior, a little bit of a GT badge there, just to give you a little bit of extra something something. And then when you come into the infotainment side of things, this is where it blows the Civic Si right out of the water. This is a 10.25 inch, as you can see, full color infotainment system, navigation, the whole shabam, very intuitive, very easy to scroll through. And like I said, compared to the Civic Si, this is definitely the newer technology. I throw it into reverse. Backup camera is just as grainy as the Civic Si, so nobody wins there. Put it back into park. AC control is easy to get to. You got real knobs, and it's dual climate, which is very nice, which you don't get on the Civic Si. Your start-stop button, wireless charging, and a nice little tray here. USB-A, a 12-volt, and another USB-A. Plus, they even give you some room for 5 Twinkies. I wish this had the 6-speed manual. Some people were telling me it was supposed to have a 6-speed manual. This is the 7-speed DCT, red stitching with the shift boot. You got your drive modes, which I'll show you more of that when you come to the business side of things. 2 cup holders. You got a place where you could easily put, I would say, 7 packs of Hubba Bubba. And then you have this Rubbermaid. I'm not digging the Rubbermaid. I'm gonna have to zonk this on the armrest. They could have used some other material. Open it up. You have enough room in there to where you could easily get, I would say, 20 of those AOL online setup discs that they used to send you in the mail when we had dial-up. You could put about 20 of those in there. Maybe one day they'll be worth some on eBay. Maybe you could buy yourself a Ferrari in the year, 2300 or something. Seats, you have that leather material, the stitching. I like the GT embroidery. It's a combination of the leather style with the cloth, and I'm digging the stitching. Some piping goes a long way on this particular trim. Manual controls for the passenger and manual controls for the driver, which is a bummer, and no sunroof. But if you go GT2, you get those extra things. But remember, what happens if you go GT2? Yes, you got to spend more money. But why don't you come over here to the business side? I want to show you behind the flat bottom steering wheel in this Kia. All right, guys, business time behind the wheel of this Kia Forte GT. Now, down below, what blows the Honda Civic Si away is you actually get aluminum dead pedal. See how nice it looks when they all look the same? Plus, it gives you a nice area to put your foot and brace yourself. You do have an aluminum brake pedal and throttle. If this was a manual, there would be something right here where my left foot is, and that would be the aluminum clutch pedal. Now, here's your manual seat controls. No big deal. They're easy to operate. Like I said, if you want electric, just spend a little bit more. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of room, but there's also plenty of room in the Honda Civic Si, so that's kind of even Stevens. Steering wheel, though, they did a fantastic job. 2-piece leather, perforated with the smooth. The red stitching's really nice. You got the GT badge with the flat bottom. Flat black on the switch gear, paddles on the back of the steering wheel to go through the 7-speed DCT. And then, of course, you're gonna have an analog setup with a small digital display. Not the sexiest, but it gets the job done. You can see all the information that you could display in the center. Plus, you got your different drive modes. Say you didn't feel smart in school or you weren't smart, you could put in smart mode that boosts your IQ by 50 points. You could also do sport or normal. I don't want to be normal, and I kind of feel that I'm smart, so I'm going to keep it in sport. Other than that, very straightforward on the cabin. Let's get to that back seat and see if your passenger is going to be happy that you went with the Forte GT. All right, guys, back seat time in here, and you know what? It actually feels pretty good. I left the seat back exactly how I had it sitting, and just to prove a point, I know a lot of you are going to be like, well, that seat's more forward. Look, I'm sitting behind Joe Rady. I'm Joe Rady, sitting behind Joe Rady from Rady's Rides, and I still have plenty of leg room. I'm gonna slide my butt over to give Steven some extra room here. What do we got going on? We actually have real deal functional AC vents and a USB-A. You get neither of those in the Honda Civic Si. I am gonna have to zonk this terrible cargo net, but the good news is you could put a whole bag of Tostino's pizza rolls. I tell you, when I was growing up eating those Tostino pizza rolls, it was terrible because sometimes they were ice cold, and other times you bite into them, it was like biting into liquid lava, and it would just burn the inside of your mouth. But sitting here feels pretty good. Look at this. You even got a center armrest with that leather material. It's semi-soft. I'm okay with it. With the two cup holders, and they even did the same seat design with the stitching, which is nice. But let's get into the trunk and see who wins back there in this Kia Forte GT. All right, guys, the great news is that since this is a sedan, you actually have some pretty usable trunk space. All you do is you hit the button, flip it up, gonna be greeted to a nice wide opening, low cargo floor, and those rear seats do a 60-40 split. So you're looking at 15.3 cubic feet of space, which is quite substantial for this type of car. I'm gonna see if I can lift up the rear cargo liner area. You do get a spare and the official Kia genuine parts wheel lock set. So nobody's gonna leave you on concrete bricks when you park this on the side of the road somewhere. But you know what? If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and fire this thing back up and go for a little on-throttle spin. All right, guys, we are inside this 2023 Kia Forte GT. I'm gonna go ahead and come to a complete stop. Nobody's behind us. I'm gonna use the paddles. We do have it in sport mode. On throttle, here we go. A little slow off the line. Spinning up the tires. So with that DCT, you're getting those quick shifts with that dual clutch transmission. It allows you to be able to leave it in drive and let the vehicle do all the shifting for you, or you can have a little bit more fun and use the actual paddle. So that's the nice thing about having the best of both worlds. A lot of tire spin off the line. And if you notice, that's one of the things about Kia and Hyundai, the 7-speed DCT, very slow off the line. But from a roll, on throttle, much better, much better. Like the feedback from the wheel. The one major downside is that there's no limited slip differential. And that may not sound like a big deal, but when you drive this compared to next to the Civic Si, you really get a feel for that difference. And it's quite substantial. It really, really is. Everything is well sorted in here by now because it's been the basic same interior for a few years. Obviously, they upgraded the infotainment system and whatnot, but everything is well within reach, great visibility. It's just, if you want the ultimate in feedback and that performance, then Civic Si is gonna be the way to go. But if you're looking for a daily driver that brings a little extra fun without going too overboard, this could be the perfect car for you, especially at the price point. Third gear, on throttle, here we go. Shifts are very, very fast, whether you're going up or down. Brakes feel decent. Rolling on throttle, third gear. I do like the sound that you're getting inside the cabin. It's actually, I think, sounds better than the Civic Si. The Civic Si really has that artificial sound to it, just like my Type R that's pumped in. But this is actually sounding pretty natural, which is good. But in sport mode, you can feel the difference in the steering. It does get heavier in a good way, quicker throttle sensitivity, and also quicker with how the transmission and the engine behaves. I'm gonna go ahead, you take the shifter, you just push it back over to the middle, and now it's in regular drive. And you could use the shifter to go up and down the gears, 7-speed, or you could use the paddles. Dash, it is analog, say what you want about it, but it is backlit LED, and it's very easy to read, especially at a quick glance. And these seats are actually quite comfortable and have some pretty decent bolstering. Not as bolstered as the Civic Si, but still, from a comfort standpoint and a standpoint to where you're not gonna slide all over the place, it actually feels really good in here. I mean, the most important thing, the thing you're holding on to, is gonna be the steering wheel, and that feels phenomenal in here, especially with the 2-piece leather. All right, guys, I have it in regular automatic shift mode, and we're still in sport. If you pull away with light throttle, it actually accelerates fairly normal to a traditional torque converter automatic transmission. But we're gonna get out onto the highway here and see how it rides. Definitely not as stiff as the Civic Si. Something to take in. That may be a good thing or a bad thing. From a handling standpoint, the Civic Si is gonna out-handle this car, but from an everyday fun driving, yeah, you take it to the twisty bits, but yeah, you gotta go to work with it and sit in traffic. This thing is gonna surprise you, especially with the ride quality. Not a lot of wind noise, actually no wind noise, a little bit more road noise than wind noise in the cabin, but as you can see, going down the highway, it's very comfortable. Of course, you have that 4-door capacity, which is nice. And you got your nice large infotainment system, which looks higher end than the one in the Civic Si by far. Of course, you're gonna get all your Kia safety features, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist. And here we are in driving sport mode, and it feels good. And if you don't want the revs, like right now, I'm doing like 65 and the revs are around 2,800, you put it into normal mode and it drops it right down to 2,000 RPM. So, or a little bit under. So something to think about. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right back into sport, and it raises it about 500 RPM. But I think this is a vehicle that's gonna surprise you if you have not driven one. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the shifter back over to me so I could use the paddles. Here we go. I'm telling you, the downshifts are really, really nice in this car. And the paddles are in a good location. Obviously, they're plastic. I'm not gonna zonk it at this price point, but they're a good size and they're in a great placement. All right, you ready? Here we go. On throttle. So a way to do on throttle without spinning the tires is short shift it right about 5,000 RPM. If you do that, then you're not gonna break traction, but you're still gonna have that quick acceleration. That's something that I've learned in this car. You do have a nice size gear indicator in the upper left-hand corner of the digital display. And it's nice in a bright white number, which is very clear to see. But hopefully this has been a good overall review of the Kia Forte GT. We're gonna get back to Loki Kia and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been another crazy day here at Loki Kia. Definitely want to thank Robert, Danny, and the rest of the crew getting us this 2023 Kia Forte GT. Let me know what you think. Is this still a viable option? If you want a little bit more performance, you don't want to go up to $40,000 and buy a Type R, or even more and buy an Integra Type S, you're looking more at that 200 horsepower mark. Are you going this way, or are you gonna go with the Civic Si? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Radius Rides family. Of course, we need to give it up to Stephen Flood Photography. He may not love everything that I do, but you know what? He's still a car guy at heart. Show him some love in the comment section. He's pretty darn good with a camera, so we can't fault him for that. Thank you, Stephen, for your hard work. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.